What's up, guys? It's Devin here. I'm going to show you what I found at today's estate sale. And one of the things I found, I'm not kidding you, it's really, really weird how it's tied to something that I found years ago at another estate sale. So check it out. So these are the items that I found. The first item being a yearbook from the University of Iowa, 1920. It's leather bound. It's got Harry W. Dahl's name on it, so this must have belonged to Harry W. Dahl. The Dahl family was a prominent family in Des Moines. They've been around since Des Moines was founded, or since Iowa was founded. So to find something, with a prominent family's name on it is always a good sign. The next thing I found was this wood-burned box, and it looks really, really old. Now, usually, if you look at the latches, you can tell they have newer brass fittings or they have screws in them. This has nails, and it's really old brass. So I knew right away this box has got to be at least 100 years old. So looking over at it, I opened it up, and I found this piece of paper in here, and it says Martha Parter's box. Pictures Dahl and Paley family. And then I started looking over the box more. It looks like it's got some water damage, which is fine. Just gives it more, character. And then I looked at the bottom of the box, and it says MD, April 10th, 1907. Now, I'm assuming that's Martha Dahl. And this, being 1907, is at least 100 years old. And it's really detailed. I love the work that's on it, so I just had to get it. Now these right here are, this is a psalm book from Sweden from 1908. It even has a little information in the front that it was brought back from her parents in 1908 when they returned from a trip to Sweden. And it is in the Swedish language. This is a Bible from 1910 that is also in the Swedish language. And then there's another Bible from 1905 that is in English but is a Swedish Bible. Then I found these pictures and postcards, or real picture postcards. This one's just a picture, but it has information on the back. It says Delphi Float College. So that must have been a sorority. You see the girls in the back. Residence View, Lawrence, Iowa. And then it has right here, it says high school. So this would have been Lawrence, Iowa High School, which would make sense as to why these were in there, which are of a bunch of kids in school. It's a real picture postcard, and it says Helen High School. So from what I've understood is Helen went to Lawrence High and graduated in 1912. These are all of her picture postcards of schoolmates. This looks like maybe a choir club. And then there's this random picture postcard, a little kitten. But I thought this was cool. Commencement 1912. It's got a little abalone shell under the 1912 LHS. Graduating exercises of the Lawrence High School, 1912. So this would have been all from Lawrence High School, which then I would assume after high school they went to a teacher's college. So I'm pretty sure that this represents Iowa State Teachers Club. And here's a picture of some girls. It says Helen there. And then it says ISTC, Left End Helen. There's another photo in here that was also related to it. It's got this big burly man. It says ISTC President Searly. So this must have been the president of the club. And then you've got this little ribbon, which I thought's really, cool. Kind of ties it all together. Then we've got this agate, which has druzy in the middle. It's a really nice piece, nice heavy piece, good for display. We've got this Ray-Bans case, this vintage Ray-Bans case, Bosch & Lomb. It's in really good condition. So the reason why I picked these up is because if someone has a vintage Ray-Bans and they don't have the case, it's always nice to find someone who's selling one. So I tend to pick these up anytime I find them. And then I couldn't pass up on this. This was a grab bag for $8. Now, I haven't went through this yet. I'm going to go through this in another video. So make sure you check out the next video. The reason why I bought it was because $8 is pretty cheap. And it's got a ton of stuff in it. But the first thing I saw, just looking in the bag, was this. And I'm a collector of Hawaii, all things Hawaii. This is a Hawaii bicycle tag. So I thought that was really cool. So it's a total good deal for me. So make sure you check out the video where I go through all that. Then I found this little felt Mickey Mouse, Walt Disney Productions. And I thought that was, really cool. I like anything Walt Disney. It brings back memories of my childhood. And I collect beachy things. And this is looks like it's out of a Cracker Jack box, Sun and Fun book. And then a yacht captain's hat. So I don't think I could wear this. I don't think it would look good on me. But I do like things coastal, and it's just really cool, it's unique. And if you're only paying a couple bucks for something, it's like, and you like coastal stuff, it's just something nice to put out in your house for display. Now this is a leather strap that would have been used to sharpen a single blade razor for shaving. And the reason why I liked it was because it's got this really, really old look to it. And then it has this, this floral pattern on the top embossed on it. But it says CCP and it has a bunch of Russian lettering around it. So this would have been from Soviet Russia. So this has got to be pretty old. But I just like, these are really cool for displaying. If you're a barber, and you collect barber items, this is something, you can just hang up in your house or in your man cave. And it just it's a unique discussion piece as to why someone imported this Soviet Russian strap. We were making plenty of things in America at that time. So now these were not in these plastic bags. No one ever goes through the stamps, and I've found some really cool stuff going through stamps before, but it's really time consuming. So I don't go through stamps anymore, but anytime I find them, I buy them, and then I post them for sale, as a grab. You find something really valuable in there, awesome. It's better than it getting thrown out. So I'm not opposed to anybody finding something cool in one of my finds, or in one of my buys. That just means, they're going to keep buying. So I haven't went through these, but these were in old envelopes in the basement that were just ratty. I mean, I had to throw them out. They were barely put together. But these, what tells me that this person knew that they had something was that they were gumming a lot of these. And I've just briefly looked over these as I was putting them into the bags, and there are some really, really good stamps. Some stamps I've never seen before. I mean, the time that it takes to go through all these, I'm sure would pay off. but I don't have the time, and I like to save the history because these are at least 50 to 100 years old. So those are the stamps. Now, this was kind of sad for me, but it happens. All you can do is try to help preserve history. This is a certificate of naturalization from the state of Iowa. Now, what gets me is Iowa has not been around for very long. So, if you find something that's early Iowa related, it's a really good find. This is a certificate of naturalization for Nels Peterson Dahl, who was from Sweden, and it's dated October 26th, 1888, which would be pretty early for the state of Iowa, but someone took the time to put it in a plastic, laminate it, and put it in a frame. Unfortunately, the family didn't want it, but I will cherish it because it is a piece of Iowa history, and once something gets thrown out, there's no going back, right? Now, I'm going to show you the thing that really blew me away that I found, and I'll explain to you how it's related to the items that I found years ago. So the items I found years ago were this picture and this poem. Now, this picture is a young gentleman, says East Des Moines, but on the back of it, it says Mr. Arthur M. Dahl. So he's a member of the Dahl family. And then there was this, which appears to be a poem titled The Battle of Manila Bay. And on the second page of the poem is the name Arthur Dahl, Arthur D. So that tells me that this kid wrote this poem, and the poem is actually really good. It's about Spanish-American War and the Battle of Manila Bay, and it's a really good poem. However, I'm not going to take the time to read it. If you would like to know, or if you'd like me to read it, say something in the comments, and then if I have time, I'll make a video and show you. But it is a really, really good, touching poem. So this is what I found at the estate sale today. Arthur Martin Dahl. Now, I thought this was really weird. This is a poem in a frame. The same poem on a backboard. And then another poem on an old photograph. All Arthur Martin Dahl. Now, the date is Des Moines, Iowa, December 25th, 1912. When I found these things, I took them down to the lady who holds the estate sale because she's been a resident of Iowa for a really long time. So she knows a lot of historical information about Iowa. She's also been doing estate sales for like 40 some years. So she knows a lot of the people. She knows a lot of the families. Anyways, she told me that Arthur Dahl was murdered, and that these were probably from his funeral. So he died in 1912, which means that these have to predate that. The poem has to predate that. And when I found out that he was murdered, I said, well, maybe I'll go back, I'll see if I could find anything else that would be tied to him. There was a lot of pictures, like totes and totes of pictures, frames and cards and stuff. So I went back and then I found this. Now, here are two large photographs, black and white, and they look to be the same exact thing. An enormous amount of flowers, more flowers than I've ever seen in one place in my entire life. Now, what caught my eye about these two photographs is if you look very closely, you can see that there's something underneath the flowers. And then I noticed that it says something in writing, so I zoomed in. Now, if you look closely, it says our Arthur, and then it says Arthur at the bottom. And it has a picture of a man who looks oddly similar to this one. So Arthur, and he happened to be murdered, and there was this stuff about Arthur M. Dole. So this is obviously his funeral. And I mean, with all the flowers, you can tell that he had obviously had a lot of people that really cared about him, or was a very prominent member of his community. Then I found the last thing, which is this old folder. It says Townsend and it says Des Moines on it. So I flipped it open and I noticed it's a photograph. Now the weird thing about this photograph, there's no date at all, is the people in it. So they're all prominent people in the community. And this guy right here looks a lot like this guy grown up. So what I'm assuming is, obviously he was a member of the Dole family. Somehow someone got a poem. Maybe he wrote it for them and gave them the poem in the picture when he was younger. And then I end up going to a sale of a family member's years later and getting these photographs of his casket and him grown up. I don't know what to say.